Hi, I'm Rob Geyer, IBM Client Executive based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I have the pleasure today of introducing one of my favorite clients, Capitalogics, also based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and their CEO, Howard Getson. Howard, take it away.
Hi, I'm Howard Getson, CEO of Capitalogics. We're a technology company that is using big data, elastic computing, and exponential technologies like AI, machine learning, and deep learning to gain edges in the market. We also use those technologies to run a hedge fund. Um, and frankly, we've based this on an IBM hardware platform. So this presentation is called Building the Future, Gaining a Financial Edge Through Fast Data and Analytics. And frankly, I can talk about it because it's been my life and passion for the past 20 years. I call this the new world of trading, but in order to make that make sense, I have to explain the old world of trading. It used to be about people trading with people, and markets represented the collective fear and greed of populations. So price patterns and all sorts of stuff that you use for trading really represented the collective fear and greed of a population. And if you could capture that data and figure out certain statistical probabilities, you might have had an edge. Profitable trading comes from edges. In the past, one of the biggest edges you could have was an information asymmetry, or where you had more information than somebody else. And the first way people got it was by being a member of the exchange so that you could see who was buying what. The second level, that I'll call the new world of trading, is when technology got involved and people had computers and they're ingesting price data, volume data, even order book data about what's coming. And all of a sudden, a whole new set of winners came. The rules changed, the players changed, what you have to do to compete changed. But now in the new world of trading, something new has happened. Technology is now so fast and the technology is so good that you can take in so much more data and process it so much more finely that you really have a new set of edges. And these edges come from things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, using metadata about the process to gain feedback loops or information that other people don't have. And if you think about business, if you use the same information and the same process as everybody else, there's no edge. But being able to use a different process and different information really does give you a sustainable competitive advantage. And it's why we're so excited about this platform. Now, let's start at the beginning. The biggest problem in the market is too much information. Most people think that they want a little bit more information, but what they really want is more signal and less noise. And the only way to understand or make sense of that is to take in as much data as you can, figure out what to ignore, and figure out what's important. Now, we try to do it ourselves in real life, but you've heard the problem with fake news. The internet is terrific, except you can find something that's going to confirm any belief you have. As a trader, you have the same problem with confirmation bias. You can find something that supports your opinion, but the goal here isn't to find something that supports your decision. You want something that's going to inform your decision and help you make a better one. It's about making better decisions, taking smarter action, and making more money. So, you have to understand that you can't let the past get in the way of the future. This is true not only from a process standpoint, but even from a structure standpoint. So many businesses say they want AI or something really high tech. But in real life, you have to understand it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the beginning, you start with, how do I make the existing business better? And that means, how do I do what I already do better? To me, it means looking at the people, the process, and the information. If you're not getting the right result, chances are one of those things is wrong. But once you figure out the processes or the verbs that you want to make better, you have to use a lens like, how do I make it more efficient, more effective, or more certain? Step two is saying, instead of how do I make what I do better, what could I do or what should I do? And this is actually where some of the biggest changes come about, because all of a sudden you're using these new capabilities for something different. That enables step 3, which is where it actually, these capabilities change your identity, your sense of what's possible, and it changes the products, the services, the offering. For example, for us, a new trading algorithm or a new hedge fund. But it only becomes possible when you start to recognize what these new capabilities unleash in your business. And then beyond that, as more and more businesses start to do this, it actually puts pressure on other businesses, because even if they said, I don't want to adopt these technologies, once their competitors are doing it, they realize that they're going to lose mind share, wallet share, or brand equity because it's hard to keep up. And so this becomes the innovator's dilemma. And ultimately, the past can't get in the way of the future. The same is true for a tech product, though, because if you built something to a legacy system and that system starts to go into end of life, it's really painful to think about how are you going to rewrite. One of the reasons we're so excited about IBM's performance server is a lot of our legacy systems were built on Netezza. And Netezza is almost like a field programmable gate array. It's a combination of hardware and software that lets us operate so much faster because it's using massive parallel processing and a way of only bringing across the data you need to solve a problem. And so you're not wasting I/O on irrelevant data. And we loved it. It works so great, except we got to a point where that platform was very specific and we had to hire people to write to that platform, and it was a weird language. But the platform also didn't support the newest versions of Java, R, and Python. And this new IBM performance server that internally we think of as Netezza 2 not only does all the legacy stuff 20-25% faster than before, but it also lets us use the most modern versions of all the tools we want. It's a generalized solution. That means I can build the solution I want without thinking about what can I build on the machine. It's more, who do I want to hire? How do I hire somebody who's a culture fit rather than how do I hire somebody who knows how to code to this? It's really freed us up a lot, and the past no longer gets in the way of the future. But the market's changed too. When my dad used to own stock, he got stock on his wedding day, and he owned it on the day he died. But now, if you did a survey of every transaction on the New York Stock Exchange last year, from the time they bought it to the time they sold it, it's not measured in years, it's not measured in months, it's not measured in weeks, it's not measured in days. 23 seconds. The average time between when somebody buys and sells is now 23 seconds. And I've had our traders tell me, but that doesn't matter to how I trade. But it could. What if all that information was useful and you were able to use all of that data to figure out things that other people couldn't? If you had the right kind of hardware, the software, the data, then all of a sudden you can know faster and take decisive action while other people were taking tentative action because they're still guessing. This is the kind of business breakthrough that this kind of platform makes possible. So I have this sign in my office. It says, the old style of trading is dead. Luckily for us, not all the old traders are. The funny thing is as much as you would think I compete with other algorithmic traders or people who are using high frequency trading, actually, as long as I find somebody to take the other side of my trade, we're fine. And so this technology really does create a unique, sustainable competitive advantage. Let me tell you something about the market. Markets as a mechanism exist to trade. And by that I mean the fundamental purpose of a market is to trade. Because everybody gets paid only if there's a trade. Brokers, the person who's buying or selling, a compliance person, even a regulator. In a sense, if a market isn't growing, it's dying. And the only way that you can get a trade to happen is somebody has to think the market's going to go up and somebody has to think it's going to go down. If everybody knew it was going up, nobody would transact. But the market needs more and more transactions. It's more transactions in shorter and shorter periods of time. And that means you have to expect increased noise and volatility because you have to disturb the person who's going to sell and the person who's going to buy, because an undisturbed prospect doesn't buy. And so you have to have enough conflicting information that everybody thinks something different. And it's the only thing that makes sense. But the thing that makes sense after that is that markets are random. In a sense, if there's so much volatility and noise from the moment that I put on a trade until the next moment, whether it goes up or down is random. Now, whether I make and keep money over 10,000 of those trades, that's about our system. But markets themselves are random. And here's a piece of business advice. You can't build a great business focusing on all the things that change. Everything is going to change. And so markets change. The algorithm you're going to use is going to change. The best businesses are built focused on the thing that doesn't change. So for me, the thing that doesn't change is how I measure whether a technique is making or keeping money for me. A way that I can compare this technique to that technique. If I get better and better at that, something good happens. And so I have this on the wall at my office as well. It says if you don't know what your edge is, then you don't have one. Think about that. It's true in your business as well as mine. But what it means here is that my edge is actually knowing what works in real time. And we do that because we're taking in transactional data, but we're also using unstructured data on the Spark side to do models that other people don't have. And it really creates a very nice business environment. So here's investment advice. Only invest in something while it's working. Sounds crazy, but this is the kind of thinking that this technology makes possible. And it's groundbreaking. Ultimately, in the new world of economics, data is a precious commodity. And I really think that it represents crude oil quite well. Data comes or is available everywhere, but you have to figure out where you think the valuable data is. You have to figure out how are you going to produce it, how are you going to refine it, what are you going to use it for, and how are you going to deliver it where you need it. But if you can do it, data is also like currency, and with the right kind of system, you have a printing press. So here's another picture from our office. Welcome to the new center of finance. No, it's not Wall Street and it's not Dallas, Texas. It's the data center. It's where the coolest things are happening now. And why would we have 1,000 times faster computer? Because to us, it looks like a profit center. And if something creates a profit center and at the same time a competitive advantage, that's a moat that makes people less likely to compete with me and more likely to partner with me. Well, that's a good thing. That's an investment that pays for itself. Ultimately, these computers are like the right tool for the right job. Finding a needle in a haystack's easy if you have the right tool. And the right tool might be a magnet or a machine that could look at every piece of hay faster than you can look at the stack. But ultimately, these systems are designed to create order from chaos. And as a CEO, one of the things that I try to make clear to my team is I don't want our team to impose an order on the data. I want them to find the order hidden in the data. Michelangelo was once asked how he made that beautiful statue, David. And he said, I chipped away at the rock and the marble until the statue appeared. And that's really what these systems let you do, is look at what's really there rather than what you want to believe is there. Once you've done it, wisdom comes from finer distinctions. And really, the transactional data creates a massive set of data that we can then use tools like Python or R to create models that frankly are beautiful, that let us do things that were science fiction even 5 years ago. But our team loves it and I love it. Because AI is cool, but artificial stupidity is scary. The real reason these systems are so important to me is that it's fast enough that we can test more. We can do things 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because it's too expensive to let something operate at light speed and make a mistake. So having the ability to test is incredibly important. And ultimately, the heartbeat of AI is still human. And so I wanted a system that our team liked, that our team was willing to use, that allowed me to hire the best talent based on the culture fit with the organization, based on their technological skill or acumen, and not just their ability to know something specific. Why? Because frankly, mediocrity is incredibly expensive. And this kind of technology is an elegant use of brute force. And what it lets you do is create more ways to win. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in more information about our company or how we use it, go to www.capitallogics.com/IBM. You can subscribe to a newsletter that'll give you information about AI and advanced technology and finance. But I also want to thank our friends at Gaping Void for these pictures. I enjoyed speaking with you, and I'm happy to talk to you in person if you give me a call. Thanks again.
Howard, thank you for that great presentation. I had a bunch of questions actually that I was going to ask you to follow up, but you did such a great job in your presentation. I'm afraid I may only have one left, and that is basically, what do you, with all of this technology that you're utilizing now, the NetTeasa performance server based on IBM Cloud Pak for data, what are your future plans to use the technology?
It's an interesting question because as you ask me, I'm thinking about specific products, but let me talk in general first. When we migrated our legacy process, most of that was transactional. And just for history's sake, we took things that took several days and turned them into things that took several minutes. And we've now taken things that took several minutes and we've made them take several moments. And so we're thinking about how we do this on a broader set of markets, but also a much deeper set of timeframes. And the kind of decisions that we would make once a week in terms of, we actually have a stackable series of AI where the systems at the lowest level you can think of as simple trading systems, but then we have supervisory systems above that. And frankly, there's multiple supervisory systems that only know what's beneath it. They don't know what's next to it or above it. And then above that, we have supervisors of the supervisors. And in a sense, we play a game we call alpha by avoidance. And it's really figuring out what to ignore in terms of markets, techniques, timeframes, risk levels, allocation strategies, all the different business decisions that humans used to make, we've now automated. It's truly an autonomous form of AI that runs our whole business. And it makes the cost of operations so much less than when we used humans to do those things. But as we start to get more capability to make the decisions in shorter time frames, data science doesn't actually let us do it. So just because I say, gee, the thing I did once a week, I had to do once a day, and the stuff I did once a day, I should do every hour, and the stuff I did every hour, I should do moment by moment. That's not actually how it works. So the real future for what we're doing is we're building something that we call the Capitalogics Insight Engine. And it's a tool set that's allowing us to take the algorithms, the testing methods, the automations, the methodologies, the execution capabilities, and make this a knowledge management repository that gets stronger and stronger, where every time we come up with a trade-worthy certified bit of code, it goes there. And as we hire new people, we're hiring them to use this generic platform to build new products rather than to work just on the products. In a sense, we're making the innovation happen at our platform level to create products, and it's a giant initiative, but we're really excited because the NetTeasa 2 platform has made us hungry for more. And frankly, as I said in the presentation, if a platform like this is a profit center, then I don't care how many I have to buy. And if it creates a competitive advantage, it's like a moat. Ultimately, our goal is to license it. And the way I look at it is Gretzky said, don't skate to where the puck is, skate to where it's going to be. And what I want to do is create an open collaborative platform that's going to help people get to where I was. And as they're doing that, I want to get to next and help them get to where I was and do it again and again and again. And frankly, we think Watson's a great way to distribute that. But we're so excited about the NetTeasa 2 platform that it's made us greedy for more. And frankly, I think it should do the same for you in the audience.
Now, it's fascinating, Howard. I really look forward to the future working with you. And again, I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us today. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.